Hello, and welcome to video 2 of the 5-part video series that we're doing, where we're talking about concepts such as sales and cold calling. Okay, so a quick introduction to what smart calling is all about. Smart calling is basically where you take the repetitive process known as cold calling and you turn it into an art. You add a bit of structure to it. But what does a structure look like? Well, it comes in 3 different phases. The first step is going to be to acquire intelligence about the prospects, where you find out basic information such as what do they sell, have they opened up any new locations lately, some of their priorities, that kind of thing. The second step is to use that information in a conversation with them. And lastly, you try to direct the prospect to making a decision. You lead them to action, and that action is going to be to purchase your product or your service. Acquiring intelligence is all about knowing where to look. But where do you look? Well, recent events affecting the target company will provide you a pretty good wealth of information for your talks with the prospects company. For instance, maybe they just got a new CEO, or perhaps they're reporting record profits on their previous quarter. Whatever it is, information such as this can give you a leg up in your conversation with them. Social media accounts obviously hold a good amount of information about the target company, but one often underutilized resource that is often forgotten by salespeople is a secretary, sometimes referred to as the gatekeeper. This gatekeeper holds a wealth of information and sometimes even personal details about the decision maker, which you can use if all you have to do is ask, however. For instance, you may learn what time the decision maker likes to be called at, or how do they like to be referred to as, by their first or last name. Things like this can give you that little bit of edge that you might need. So placing yourself in somebody else's shoes. So whenever you call a target company, you're oftentimes going to talk to the secretary first, and you're trying to get through to perhaps a mid-level manager or occasionally even a CEO. But it's important to ask yourself, what does their average day look like? And how are they evaluated at their job? So for example, whenever you talk to a secretary, their average day involves keeping away tons of scammy salespeople from their decision maker. And that's their job. Every time they let one sneak by to talk to the decision maker, they're reprimanded. So from the very get-go, it might be advantageous to talk to the secretary in a respectful manner, gain their trust, and then maybe even you can ask some questions about the decision maker as part of the acquiring intelligence phase. And finally, before talking to the target prospect, you need to make sure that you have a script available. Now, this isn't a very strict script, and you have to follow it down to the last line. No. Instead, this is supposed to be a script that gives you your primary and your secondary goals. It's supposed to be giving you a roadmap for the conversation ahead and remind you of where you're trying to get to. A good way to start off a conversation with the prospect is always going to be to say their name, and this grabs their attention unlike anything else. Like Dale Carnegie once said, the sweetest thing to someone's ears is their own name. And as you talk with the prospect, as long as you did plenty of the acquiring intelligence phase, you should be well prepared. But also remember to stay positive, and you'll be getting that sale in no time. Thank you for tuning into video 2.